Listeners, welcome again, and we're still here at the Transport and Logistics Conference in Munich, and we've now got a very, very, very close colleague of mine. He's one of the best dressed senior members of this industry, always looks impeccable as if he's stepped off the catwalk, and his name is Atilla Korkmazoglu. And I know I've made a mistake with the G there, Atilla. Bit of a mouthful, the surname, but I'll get used to it. Now, Atilla is the President, Ground Handling and Cargo for Europe, Middle East and Africa with Chalabi. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on board, Atilla, and thank you so much for making the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for accepting. Actually, when you first asked me to interview, I thought this will be interesting. Let's see actually how it will go on. So
it already is, because there's a couple of things anybody looking now who will see. Firstly, they'll see a picture of me behind me, which is totally unplanned. And what's even more unplanned is I'm wearing the same suit. The only difference is it's been a long time since I wore it, and I struggled so much. I struggled so much to get into it for this event. I'm definitely going to lose weight. Now, the other thing that people will notice, Atilla, the wonderful hat you've got on. Now, we'll explain to people later on about the choice, but you look smart. You look great. Now, Atilla, why did you agree to come on to the podcast?
I think the aim for making the podcast, when you explained to me that we want to understand the people behind the brands, and maybe people is not listening them with their own personality. Everybody knows each other in the industry, but they don't know their personality that well. It was inspiring. I thought that it could be fun. So
well, fingers crossed. Yeah, but you're right. Now, what we wanted to do is we just wanted to get to know the people behind the positions, and more importantly, let people who see them or see articles or magazines or walk past them at conferences just to know a little bit more about the person. And one of the most important things for us here is, how do we make youngsters interested to come into the business? And if they don't see the types of people who are running it, influencing it...
I feel still young, Chris, come on. So I'm not that old.
No, but you're how old are you, Atilla?
I'm 46.
You're 46?
Yeah.
46. Do you want to share the secrets? Are you a moisturizer man? Do you put a little dab of special cream on every morning, every evening?
I think I'm not doing much, but I'm okay still. So maybe I'm bald-headed. That's why people is getting the attention with my head itself.
No. That's trendy. That's trendy. You look like Van Diesel or whatever.
Thank you.
You look well, mate. Not a single wrinkle on that lovely face of yours. So obviously things are pretty good at Chalabi, huh? No stress.
I wouldn't say no stress, but things are going good in Chalabi, I have to say. That's why I'm in the company for so long. It's been 26 years for me.
Okay, now that's a point.
Yeah.
What is it? What's that little bit of magic that's made you stay there for 26 years?
I think the company was quite small when I joined in terms of how many people working with. So it was around 400 employees total.
Yeah.
And I graduated from Civil Aviation Academy in Turkey, actually. And the owner, Miss Canan Çelebioğlu, you know her.
Yeah.
I think. And
sat at a table with her many times. Lovely lady.
Yeah, and they at that time they recruited us from the academy from the last semester, and they hooked me on, and it's like a family there. So really, it's been 26 years, and although it's much bigger company right now, almost 14,000 employees currently. We didn't lose the family touch. Actually, still we are treating everybody like family. We are having very close contacts with all our employees, all the managements, and I think the inspiration came from them because they were running like a family, the company, and it's a family company at the end. So
yeah, no, there's a lot to be said for it. It's interesting when you think or when you speak to people who've been with a company for a long time.
yeah,
What is it that anchored them? You know, some people it's pensions, it's not knowing what else to do, etc. But when somebody's very genuine
yeah,
about
yeah.
the reasons, it's a lovely thing. Can I ask you who sort of mentored you or inspired you when you first came into the industry? Anybody you'd like to mention and why?
I think some people would know in the industry. He's retired currently. At the beginning, I think Yavuz Samur played a big role in my development at the very beginning years. But later on, I have to say Canan Çelebi inspired me a lot on many things and encouraged actually me to develop. And I even started to study, although I started to study for postponing my military service actually. So it's an interesting story because...
So is that the reason why you chose the hat now?
Maybe. Because I only made my military service for 21 years, 21 days, not years. How it's happened actually in Turkey, you have to make your military service after the university.
Yep.
You can only postpone till the age of 34. And I started at Chalabi, so I was about to end the 20 years old, and I was studying at that time. I continued to study on the MBA, then I started a PhD to postpone my military service. I continued finance and banking.
That's a tough
PhD.
A
So
PhD.
I couldn't finalize it, although I finalized the courses. I couldn't start to write the thesis actually. Thesis is the hard part, and I'm still holding on it. So if you look at my CV, you will see that it's pending.
Yeah.
This is one of my to-do list. But I'm thinking that when I slow down, I'm going to go on that actually. So why finance and banking? There is not much secret on it. I have no relationship with banking. I'm not very good on the investment myself actually for my personal investment. But finance is interesting from my childhood, so I thought, why not? And to be honest, it was an easiest way to postpone the military service. So then it was 2002. My son came to alive, and I thought this is not time to go to military service. At that time, Celebi was just trying to make an expansion. I was in a way natural candidate for the position, so we bought the Celebi Hungary. I became a managing director there. This added 4 more years because you can only postpone after 34 years old if you have if you are living abroad actually. So
you managed to do that. So how did you manage
I-
only doing 21 days?
After that, if you are working 3 years in abroad, actually you can pay some money to the government, and then you can do only 21 days. So I managed that.
You managed to pay. Interesting concept.
So actually, not bad, no?
And now they'll see you in a military hat.
Yeah.
And for
It's
people,
not actually. I didn't think that it's military, but maybe.
yeah, it's Navy.
Yeah.
You've got a good Navy.
Maybe. So.
Yeah. And for those who didn't understand the significance of the hat, we're here at the stand, and there's a little exercise goes on where people can put something fancy on, a little bit of fancy dress. So I gave Attila the choice. It was either a naval hat or a pair of bunny ears. Difficult decision, huh?
It was.
Yeah. Now, what would you say, Attila, if people were to say, I've never heard of Chalabi?
Yeah.
What would you say is the purpose behind everything that you do? What makes you feel that you're different, or a different DNA, or a different set of priorities? What would you say? How would you sell Chalabi?
I think the first thing comes to my mind, the spirit itself. Really, there is close contacts between the members of the Chalabi, so there is a real spirit on it. if one of us has issues, we always try to help each other like family members. So we are looking behind everybody, and I think you will see that from the people who left Chalabi, they also feel that actually. So there is a real intimacy on the relationship in general actually. This is really different than the other companies, I'm thinking. Of course, I started at Chalabi to my career, and maybe I'm not feeling that much, but at least the ones who comes from outside, they really feel that actually, and we can embrace the purpose very quickly, and we go after it actually. So, and we don't give up easily. So this is one of the point that we are very good at it. So we don't give up.
You don't give up easy.
Yeah.
We know that now for the amount of time it took you not to get into the military.
Yeah,
Very determined.
yes.
Now, when you faced all your different positions, everything, and now we got certain challenges within the industry. How do you think the next year to 2 years is going to pan out for the industry?
I think in terms of cargo, it doesn't look that bright to me, at least. And during this conference, when I'm talking to the industry colleagues, I think everybody is in the similar opinion, because the last thing what China started to ban the soybean import as well, and I think this is going to add some fuel on it. The trade war between China and US, and I think I always see China more determined on those kind of things than the other countries. So it will depend a lot on what China will do as a strategy. But this can be quite ugly, and where it's going to stop, I don't know. I mean,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
All these things. When we just start to get going again, there's another dip. Then you go again, there's another dip. It's absolutely.
It's really strange, no?
Yeah. I mean, it's madness, but I suppose it's also exciting how you deal with things when you're going up and also when you're going down.
On the passenger side, at least how I see the things in our regions, we are all excited that the growth is going to continue, because we are very strong in India. India is definitely going to grow, both in cargo and on passengers, but passenger is going to grow much more speedy than cargo, it looks like. Also in Turkey, we are considering that tourism is going to boost in the coming years, actually, because we went to bumpy road starting from 2016. It's going better right now, so hopefully
currency.
It's going to
I mean, the currency plays a big role.
Because of the currency, I think Turkey will attract more tourists for sure. And there is also infrastructure right now. As you know, we started at the new airport. It was a big success for all of us. I think we have to be proud. So
it went down relatively without any major problems, huh?
I think I will almost say without any single problem, because there was only 1.5 hour very small baggage carousel stoppage. It didn't affect anything. Apart from that, everything went as planned, and I am even surprised, although it was a 2 years planning period for our planners and employees and management. We were not expecting that this is going to go that smooth, actually. So it went better than expected. And I'm proud of our employees, our industry colleagues in Turkey.
And let me ask you something. With your move, because obviously you moved all the warehouse and everything, did you use an ORAT partner, or did you do it all yourselves?
We did ourselves, actually. But there was a consultant for the airport company. And also, there was, by the government, there was an ORAT coordination team. It started almost 2 years ago to the project. Internally, we were quite well prepared. And I think our competitors, also Turkish Airlines, did a very, very good job. But the airport operator, we have to give an applause to them. They finalized the construction in a record time.
Which is unusual at airports these days.
Everybody was thinking that this will not be able to be opened, but it went quite good, and it runs very smooth currently. Although it's very big and
It's
of
huge,
course it's costlier for us, but we can't complain. Everything is working much better, I have to say, and there is lots of potential for growth right now.
Isn't the terminal the biggest single under one roof facility built at an airport?
I think so. The new one is coming in China, so I'm not really sure in terms of terminal capacity. Maybe they are going to exceed at the current phase, but if we conclude all the modules, then this could be the biggest in the world in the coming years still, actually. So,
Yep. And what's the anticipated total capacity capability?
it's going to be, when it is fully completed, it's going to be 200 million passenger actually. So currently 120
My God,
million. So it's a quite a big airport, I have to say.
Yeah, and I got to
And
say,
currently they finished the 2 runway. Third one is going to be opened next year actually. So
no, it's very good. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
As is the products on Turkish Airlines. I think it's absolutely the in-cabin service fantastic.
And I think they're doing pretty well, and they started in the new airport amazingly well. Although they reduced the capacity at the initial 2-3 days, but they are in full force right now. They are going quite well. And
have you been in the new lounge, the new Turkish Airlines lounge? Because
it's
I've
amazing.
been lucky enough to be in the old one, and that was phenomenal. You could almost spend a weekend in there.
Yeah, and the new one is much better than the former one, I have to say.
Pool tables,
everything inside. So there is also golf, but the previous one there was a golf trackman as well, I think. So it's phenomenal. So they have right now one business class lounge, one for elite members actually. Business class lounge has some international cuisine, so it's like a 5-star restaurant. You can say. And what I like about Turkish Airlines lounge, they have modules actually inside, which is smaller, which doesn't give you a sense of very big place. You don't feel comfortable actually. So this is great.
No. Well, touch wood. I'm hoping to be able to experience that again soon.
Yeah.
Now, family.
I have one child, and we are happily married for since '98 actually. So I'm
very good.
I'm married when I was quite young. So we are doing great, I have to say. My son is 17. He's I think right now 193 or 192. So we didn't measure him, but he's growing. So
that's big enough.
It was
big enough already.
Yeah, it was his birthday yesterday, for 17th birthday. He's doing great. So he's playing basketball. So he's at the high school and looking forward. So
excellent. And if I was to meet your good lady, how would she say you've mastered the balance between your working life and private life?
I have to say that my wife was always very supportive of me, because at sometimes I was working really hard, and this is not easy to have that patience actually. So when you are traveling that much, and when you are outside continuously, to keep the relationship is not an easy thing. But I think the patience and loving each other is the key. So I have to say,
that's lovely.
I'm
that's
lucky.
Lovely. That's a lovely way to end it. I think all of us who've got good wives, behind us, and they're understanding. Maybe one day we should have a big festival or something, and just invite them all and say thank you, because everybody that we've had on the show, they've all said that they've tended to work too hard, or they always have to bring their work home, but without the understanding and support, it just wouldn't work. Fair play to them.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something that you'd like to do, which is on your bucket list. Have you got any other things that are on your bucket list, things that you would love to do that you've never had the chance to do?
This year I'm attending to a Athens marathon. I ran a couple of half marathons, but I didn't have chance to run a marathon. So it's a big training responsibility at the same time. So I was not thinking, but last year in Canada, during the air cargo event, we were having a drink with Joost Lammers and René Dresse from the Budapest airport. So we are having good friendship, and they are runners actually. Both of them are runners for marathon, and they asked me that whether you are going to join. They are going to run in Athens, and this is how it started. So I accepted the challenge. I generally accept the challenges when people ask me to do actually.
As we can see where the captain's at. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I accepted, so I took the responsibility and I started the training. It's going pretty well, so hopefully I'm going to do.
And is that the first one? First one ever?
First full marathon, yeah.
You done half marathons or?
Yeah, I did half marathons, so all of them around 2 hours. But this time I want to be below 4 hours actually on the marathon. Let's see actually what I do manage. So.
Oh, good luck, Chan. Are you doing it for a cause or a charity or?
Actually, we always do it during the marathons, and there is runway run they do every year at Budapest actually for a charity purpose. So I'm attending to that one as well. This one actually we didn't register yet. At least I didn't register yet. But when I registered, I'm going to run for one of the charities. I think usually I choose the children-related ones.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
always good. Yeah. Now another question for you: if you were to write a book, what sort of genre would it be? Would it be science fiction? Would it be true life? What would it be?
Probably it will be true life. So when I watch series in Netflix, I always try to watch the ones which is coming from the real life. I'm done with the fiction actually. So
enough fiction in our business.
Yes. And the last one I watched Ozark actually. It was quite a nice one, I have to say. So I recommend you to watch.
Yeah.
So it's about how a usual man without thinking could change his life dramatically to another direction actually, and it's not easy to keep up. I watched both of them actually. Yeah.
Last year, that was my video and movie podcast and a TV show podcast, and that was my favorite show of last year.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant.
And at the end of the second series, what do you realize when you are inside a vicious circle?
Yeah.
You can become a different animal actually without noticing how you are going ahead. So with the lady, yeah.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. So there's a recommendation for you. Fantastic.
I think you have to watch, and you will be amazed with that one. I think. So.
No, I will. I'll watch that. And one of the things that we do on the podcast is I try and come up with a title for a book that would reference you and how you'll be able to find yourself when we have all the thumbnails available to go into your particular podcast. So I'll come up with that before we finish. Now, if you were to look back on your career, any frustrations, any real challenges that stand out that you'd like to give advice to people and say, if this happens, this is something that I learned, because we've all made mistakes and that's how we learn. Is there anything that you'd look back on and say, that was a real solid turning point for me and I learned something from it?
I think determination and resilience, I have to say, both are the key things. As long as you believe what you are doing is the correct one, and sooner or later success is going to come actually. So yes, we have been through some failures. Actually, some of them you can't do much. So this is about the outside environment.
Yeah.
But within your ability, if you are determined and if you are resilient enough, then you will be successful. And I think this is the key thing for me. So I was always very resilient to the difficulties. I don't give up easily. So, and people know that sometimes I could be stubborn as well. So I mean.
Oh yes. I've experienced that one. Now, youngsters coming in, why would you say this is a great industry to come into?
I think
Anybody listening now, any of the youngsters thinking of coming in?
I think as you mentioned in the beginning, there is lots of bumps and rides, actually downturns, upside. I mean, it's an amazing industry from that way. It's a very fast one.
Yeah.
I think probably some other sectors are faster than this, but it's quite an agile sector and lots of excitement. So if you want an excitement, you should come here actually. So I mean, this is the best industry for that.
No, it is, isn't it? And also, you meet people from all over the world, and that's one of the things that's given me such great experiences and values. And you can pick up a phone in most countries you've ever been to, and there's somebody somebody you'd be happy to see. I think it's wonderful.
That's nice. That's the best thing actually, especially our industry. If you look at the cargo and ground handling industry, the amount of people is not that big actually in terms of acquaintance. You can still acquaint with most of the people in the industry, and you can get friends, and then it's a lifelong friendship actually. Some of them. So
it's great. It's really good. Now, as far as things that are changing our industry, e-commerce.
Yeah.
How's that changing? The way it's affecting you guys, and also with your customers.
I think everybody talking about e-commerce, so we haven't started to see the real effects, in my opinion, yet. So it's hard to foresee what will be the real impacts to our industry.
Yep.
It can go to every direction, actually. But we are hopeful. At least we want to grab part of it, and we have some projects related to that. I have to say that we are not that much proactive in terms of industry to embrace it, although we are talking a lot. We are not into it. We were talking half an hour ago with John McDonough as well, the same thing actually. And especially on the e-commerce, Amazon, Alibaba is holding on the real information. You never know which direction is going to go actually. So if they start to go ahead as Amazon started with the airline and the setting up its own hubs, this could go real ugly for us actually. But I hope not the whole industry is going to go like that. And there will be partnerships coming up, and
that's the thing now. Don't you think it's a shame that the industry, whether it's carriers, handlers, forwarders, they don't really know what to do with the e-commerce. And people should now start getting together and have a full supply chain from first mile to last mile, and start working together as a group instead of waiting to see whether this waterfall is going to actually, make them wet with success. It's crazy.
I think one of the things the industry player does, and including everybody, I think this is holding on the information and not sharing the information on time. And this is affecting all of us, I think. So
this protectionism is actually giving other people either an opportunity or it's forcing them to make decisions and do things differently.
That's right.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah. So let's see actually how the future will be.
And pharma.
Yeah.
How do you think pharma has made an impact on our business?
I think pharma, although it's a great business opportunity, I have to say that we also invested on it actually. But from the handler's perspective, it's not bringing yet the real yield actually. So although there is a big name around it, so there is a lot of investment requirement. You have to still train your people. I think there is not yet enough commercialization part for the handlers, and it is pulling it back a bit. So otherwise it could go much faster actually. So we had some projects which we had to pull off because the return could be much longer than 10 years, and this doesn't make much sense because at the end there is a real initial investment over there, and
It's huge, huh?
yeah,
Which
not
is-
always easy actually.
No,
yeah.
exactly. Don't you think that's also a shame that something that's had such a positive impact on our, in my opinion, on the industry, because of having clear SOPs. You cannot deviate. You've got to be compliant in what's expected, and people can see if you're not very, very quickly. So it shows your commitment or not to a set of real standards, as opposed to everybody just signing up to a contract and an SLA in the past and then letting it go.
And I really think that there are some players in the industry. Where it could be handlers, it could be forwarders, it could be airlines. Actually, I'm not blaming anybody. For the commercial interest, they are not keeping the regulations. You can see that there is a pharma. We should be at the 2 to 8.
Yeah.
But there is nothing mentioned inside, and forwarder just to sell it cheaper.
Yep.
It didn't give a notice to anybody, and then yes, he did it right for himself, for the commercial sense,
But not ethically.
yeah.
And if
so-
anybody's dealt with any companies, like I've done some work with Thermo Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see the focus of the staff, because they all understand about the medicines, they understand about the clinical trials, it's a different world. And then when people are taking shortcuts and not realizing that, that could be one of their family members or a friend, a mother, a brother, a child, it's
That's the
really
main thing.
unacceptable.
I think we have to really think while we are doing that. What is the end user going to do? What harm we are doing to that actually? So
Exactly, and again, one of the opportunities our industry has now is to stop focusing on what to do, and where to do it, and when to do it, and how to do it, and start teaching people why we have to do it.
Yeah.
Because if they understand why, then hopefully they'll believe in it as well. And,
I think this is a key thing, and we are trying to put it into our trainings as much as we could for a loader, even for the baggage itself or for the cargo. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, what does it mean?
Somebody is waiting for that package or for that bag,
Yes, exactly.
and maybe you are ruining their holiday, or maybe you are going to make a child happy, but you are taking it away from him. So.
And it's so important to have that personal understanding.
Yeah.
Because if you can relate it to what everybody wants in their own life, then there's more ownership and engagement. And I think there's far too many people don't spend enough time in teaching people why we're doing certain things, which is a big shame. Now, as far as you just covered their training.
Yeah.
Big focus with Chalabi for the staff training.
Yeah, we have a real big focus, and we already made the most of the training programs on e-learning actually, and we are, as of this year, focusing on the VR. Actually, we already started to make a move related to VR applications actually. First one we are going to do for the marshalling, as well as the aircraft turnaround checks.
Yeah.
For the simpler processes, we are going to start, but we are also considering to advance it actually for the other processes. We think it's going to affect the industry a lot, the VR, and we want to be pioneer on that in terms of training, how we deal with that actually.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. And do you and your organisation, do you feel that it's now not right to be putting people in the classroom for so long? The attention levels, what they actually learn, as opposed to being, more regular, small bits. I think it's on apps or
I think especially with the millennials, this is really hard to keep engaged actually, because they are so used to the fast things actually. So we are trying to make it in a smaller portions.
Yeah.
And if it's possible, entertained with videos and other things actually. But e-learning is, I think, the future on it at the same time, but we would like to combine it with VR because not only the theory, the real practice.
Yes, exactly.
Is so important actually, and safety is number one in our industry, and we have to keep that in mind. And VR gives us a big opportunity, and we set up right now our aviation academy. We were having a inside aviation training academy already, but we would like to commercialize it in the future as well actually.
I think if it's competency based and it's simple,
Yeah.
and people use it, and if you can relate every single thing somebody is given, they should be tested on.
Yeah.
And it's competency that counts.
Yeah, and especially the VR gives that opportunity because you can test the people
Exactly
on the virtual reality as well, and this is missing on the current models on the VR, but we would like to develop more on that, and I think it's going to be great actually if we could achieve.
Yeah, good. Now a little bit back again to you and your personal life, coming from one of the most exciting capitals anywhere in the world, and it's unique, it's so much so in its geography. Where do you go? Where do you like to go? Where do you like to take the family on vacation?
If it's not in Turkey, you mean? So in Turkey, I generally choose Göcek area. So I recommend to everybody actually. So Göcek is incredible, near to Dalaman.
Okay, and
Also,
reason why?
I think the nature is maybe one of the best places in the world, in my opinion, in terms of nature. Sea is amazing. I have to say, if you haven't seen it, you should give it a thought. Actually, so
there's another. Okay, that's another one on the list. And what about overseas, outside of Turkey?
Overseas, actually, for the last couple of years, my son was more interested to US. Maybe he's a basketball player. This was the reason actually. But he started to change a bit. We were going a lot to US every year once, but we don't go. For the last year, at least, we didn't go. This year, we are not planning to go. And I am more interested to go to East actually. Maybe Japan is going to be our next holiday. Actually, this is what we are thinking.
Yeah, this year,
Yeah.
World
And
Cup, not for the Rugby World Cup.
We were planning this year for spring. Actually, we couldn't catch that because of the new airport opening. So next year we are going to do that. But this year I'm thinking to stay inside actually in Turkey.
Yeah.
So
But Japan, it's a great,
Japan, yeah,
incredible.
so-
I mean,
and
probably like yourself.
it's a pity that I haven't seen the country actually up to now. So
It's always for us. It's
Yeah.
airport, hotel, airport.
yeah.
But no, I want to go and watch the Rugby World Cup this year. So, touch wood.
it's a good
A little
idea.
bit of
so-
luck. I certainly hope to be there.
Yeah.
Now, if you were out for an evening, or you're at a party or a wedding, and I was to say to your wife or your son, what's the song that gets you up? What's the song that makes you go? You know, no matter where you are, who it's in front of, which is the one that gets you to your feet or really makes the old foot tap? What's Attila's tune?
Sweet Home Alabama.
I don't know.
Is
It
it?
came to my mind, so actually I like that song, but actually
That must be it.
maybe not, but actually it came to my mind. So
Sweet
I'm a
Home
rock
Alabama.
rock listener in general. So
No, fair enough. Good. Right, we're nearly at the end. The title for the book that I would put down for you is Captain Finance, PhD, a Marathon.
PhD, I think is not done yet. So I think you can't write it.
No, but that's why I've put a marathon.
Okay, that's okay.
So
Yeah.
a little bit of a twist there.
Yeah.
Listen, wish you really, really well for the marathon. It's a
Thank
huge
you.
thing to commit to.
I'll keep
But
you updated.
You
so.
look fit enough, so I'm sure
thank you.
sure you'll do it. And you reckon under 4 hours, huh?
Yeah, actually, I'll try.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit better than that. So let's see.
No, very, very, very good. But listen, really appreciate you coming on board. Loved it to meet you. It's always a pleasure to see you, and you're always very outspoken, very committed, and I think Chalabi very, very lucky to have you on board.
Thank you, Chris.
It's a pleasure. Now, before
it
we
was
go,
a lovely conversation. Thank you for the leading it. So
always, my friend. Now, before we go, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, please just let them know. But I'm sure you'd prefer for it not to be your personal email, But how would they get hold of you if they needed to get hold of you or Chalabi?
They can easily get in touch with me through LinkedIn, so it's easy. There are not much Atilla with a strange surname starting with K actually. So
No, I was just
Korkmazoglu. So it's the difficult part. But
Korkmazoglu.
if they write Celebi Aviation and Atilla, then they will easily find me actually.
Attila, the man with a long name. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
At least my name is easy, right?
Oh, it's very easy.
Yeah.
Attila.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you again. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of the conference. And I look forward to seeing you around over the next few days.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Attila.